All right, today I got on the bench a 62 TE, and this one is out of a 2013 Chrysler Town & Country. So we're gonna go over a couple of common problems with this transmission, one being a no reverse condition. There's another one that's fairly common, of stalling, or the engine lugging or stalling when coming to a stop. And we're also going to go over the direction, because I had a few questions on this, the direction of the seal for the 2/4 clutch. All right, it's this little piece right here. I'll give you a close-up shot of it. There is a seal on one side, there's an O-ring, and there's the other side with no seal. All right, so we're going to go over those couple of things that are fairly common issues. And with this seal, a common issue is to put this in upside down. So of course you won't really have any second or fourth gear. All right, so let me get a little closer, and we'll start with the no reverse condition, and that is going to be the updated low drum. So let me get a little closer, and I will be right back. Okay, so this low clutch is on in reverse, and what happens is these rings, from constantly spinning, wear the lands out. Okay, and it's pretty typical for this top land to go, and then once that happens, you will lose reverse. All right, this drum also was on in some forward ranges, but really only for coasting purposes. All right, so this problem is fairly common, or so common that Chrysler came out with an updated drum that takes different rings, and they're non-rotational rings. So they have little tabs. They have 2 tabs to keep these rings steady, to keep this problem from happening. I also had it one time where I actually filmed it. I didn't put it up yet, but this thing came in with I had one that come in with no reverse, and I said, okay, probably the ring lands are no good. And I actually found the whole top of the drum was broken off where the snap ring sits, and the snap ring had come out and everything, and the piston came up too much and it tore. But I really never seen that. But the most common, only seen that once. I actually called my tech service, and one of those guys that specializes in the GM Ford pricing units really never seen that either, and really didn't have an answer for me. But I did see it once. I'm not really sure why it happened. I do believe the transmission was worked on before. But the most common thing you're going to see with this drum, with the rotational rings, are the lands wearing out and you losing reverse. Okay, so anytime you're in here, like this transmission is a 13, so I'll definitely be changing this drum to the updated drum, because eventually these lands will wear out, and more than likely they'll lose reverse. All right, so here's the valve body, solenoid pack, and another common issue that these 62 TEs have is the engine stalling when coming to a stop. All right, and that is due to a mechanically bad TCC solenoid. All right, so this gets changed every overhaul. As a matter of fact, these solenoid packs tend to give problems as well. Electrical issues, pressure switch codes. So we do a lot of repairs on just the solenoid pack. All right, this is accessible through the side cover. The side cover's, kind of like in front of the trans, by the radiator. So you'd have to take that side cover off and remove the valve body to change the solenoid pack. But you wouldn't have to remove the valve body just to change the lock-up solenoid, because you can just unbolt it, pull it off, and put the new one on. But another point that I like to make of what I do is, when I do get one of these in with a bad solenoid pack and the valve body is already out, when I figure out how much, the price for the customer, I include a lock-up solenoid as well, because these things are, pretty common to go bad. I've seen it quite a few times with the engine stalling, and we were able to repair it with replacing that solenoid. So anytime you're in here, maybe replacing the solenoid pack, I definitely would recommend getting this solenoid as well and replacing that also. And again, it is accessible just by taking the side cover down, and the solenoid, the way the valve body sits, the solenoid is going to be on top. All right, so that is when you have a complaint of the engine stalling or chugging when coming to a stop. The solenoid is mechanically there. All right, one last thing here that I did want to show you guys, because I had a couple of questions of people trying to do repairs and it not working, and the symptoms are, I think it was no second, third, or something to that effect. And it ended up being, because it's pretty common, so I knew right away that they had put this in backwards. Okay, so here is your seal that comes in the overhaul kit. I'll actually take the seal out. And that faces the clutch housing. Okay, so this is the seal here. And this, the new one, I'm gonna wait for the overhaul kit. But the new, actually, the whole, I think the whole thing comes in as one. Okay, so the seal sits in there. You have an O-ring here that goes onto the case, and then this sits against the valve body. So, you know, when the unit's together and you see this sticking through, you know, this is exposed. You put this through the case, and the seal end is going to end up against the clutch housing. So that's another fairly common assembly mistake, as they would call it, on the 62 TE. Other than that, one other thing that I did want to mention, if you do happen to have this transmission out, this particular one came in with the clogged screen. I went through the transmission and really just found the low clutch, or the low reverse clutch, was flaking off a little bit, so that clutch is no good. I always do banner kits on these, but the reason for the clogged screen, according to really what I found in the pan, is more than likely a converter. The converter clutch coming apart, or something in the converter coming apart. And I've had, this is not the first time that I've seen this. I had some of these with 741 codes. So if you do have this transmission out, you honestly may want to elect to put a rebuilt converter in this as well. But I guess that's really about it. So the three common issues, well, the two most common issues that I see with this, number one is definitely no reverse. I've seen definitely a fair share of these stalling when coming to a stop, or the engine lugging when coming to a stop, because the solenoid is mechanically clogged. And also that assembly error of putting that seal upside down in the wrong spot. You know, they would put it in this way and leave the seal against the valve body, but it actually goes the other way. All right, I guess that's about it for this 62 TE common issues. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next one.